Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review. This is special number 1, part 1. And this one I'm reviewing One Piece specials, the first 3 specials, and special number 5. First one is Adventure in the Ocean's Navel. Yeah, when I heard I had this name, I kind of like Navel. I'm like, is that like the prior part of it? No, what the thing is basically just this giant hole in the middle of the ocean. And apparently there's a village there somehow that's never explained. This is actually the very first one they were released. And unlike other specials which include more characters, this one just includes the original 5 crew members who came from the East Blue into the Grand Line. Basically, Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji. And they're there looking for a treasure. They don't actually get it per se. And it's one of the most creepiest ones. And yeah, one of the most creepiest specials I've seen. And probably the most darkest one. Because there's characters with red eyes. There's actually a lot more blood in this one than there is in the other stuff. So out of all the specials I've seen so far, this is by far the darkest one I've seen. Now, Luffy does not technically beat the name bad guy in this one. No, I think he barely fights him at all. And it's all about getting to this particular treasure. Kind of like some of these other specials basically do that. It's an okay one. It's not terrible. It's got pretty good animation. Though, like with the rest of them, basically you have to watch it subbed because this was never done with Filmation. It was actually pretty good. I kind of enjoyed it. Though one of the most funniest moments is basically of Sanji, Usopp, and Nami going down in a barrel version of a submarine. Yeah. Just to go down there. And apparently this guy called Captain Joke. Seriously, this guy's named Captain Joke. Apparently he tried to steal the treasure 10 years prior, and his crew betrayed him. Because they're greedy. Yeah. It's an okay one. It's a decent story, nonetheless. I mean, the only really big highlight you get a chance to see Zoro basically slice up some monsters. Yeah, and Luffy himself, well, it seems like he doesn't really, half the time, really do very much. Yeah, I kind of wish they had more characters in this particular one. Like, if they wanted to do a story like this, couldn't they just wait until they have Robin and Chopper joined? Well, next one they do have Robin and Chopper. And it's basically these guys in the second special, which is basically called Once Upon a Great Sea, Father's Huge Dream. This one actually I found to be a little more interesting. Though it has one thing in common with Heart of Gold. Basically the whole thing with particular pirates just trying to steal some particular treasure from this little girl. Yeah. It's similar to that. Maybe they rehashed that kind of plot line for that one. I don't know, because this one came before that one. So, excuse me. So, excuse me again. They pretty much is this little girl, along with apparently looks like to be her little brother and little sister, along with these 2 former pirates of this pirate crew, who the higher captain, basically his ability is use singing to sort of hypnotize people. Yeah. And, well, later on, basically, he tried to use this Luffy after. And here's the thing: Luffy is out for pretty much half this special because Sanji decided to put sleeping pills in his food. No idea why. Also, I forgot to mention this for the first one. Yeah, there's this really weird scene of Luffy going to the bathroom while he's fishing. And Nami's like, "Why are you doing that for? You're going to scare away the fish." Probably because he had to. But it's probably one of the most weirdest things he's actually done in the series. Not the whole stretching thing with his arms, that's normal. But him just going to the bathroom on the back of the ship while he's fishing. Yeah. Now, I will get to the whole fishing thing at the end of the video. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah. There's at one point under the mind control, Luffy accidentally hits Nami, and Sanji goes ballistic. And of course, this is actually one that does feature Robin and Chopper. Of course, they're also featured in the next one as well, which is nice. Um, they get to do a good amount of stuff in here. And they actually do get a chance, everybody get a chance to be able to catch them, because it's like, yeah, you take this off so we get a chance to beat you up, not because we wanted to save them. Yeah. And it turns out the big treasure that they've been looking for this whole time is a giant pearl, and the island they were on this whole time is a giant clam. Yeah. And they kind of reveal this basically by having Zoro slice up this thing that's holding down the top of the clam, because plants are growing over the years. So slice it up and bam, you got this giant pearl. And Nami thought it basically was like normal treasure, like gold, jewels, stuff like that. Nope, it's a giant pearl. Yep. And the 2 pirates, part of this particular pirate crew, decided to retire, be pirates, and raise the 3 girls, which is nice of them to do. But as far as these characters never come back. But this one actually was much better special than the first one was, because of that one is just okay. You have the crew. I mean, there's some interesting moments, but the villain himself, out of all the specials I've seen so far, he's probably the most least interesting villain I've actually seen. Probably the most least interesting villain out of the entire One Piece franchise. Because it's just a pirate who apparently died 10 years ago and comes back as a walking skeleton, and he gets defeated by the power of, oh, wish I had my mother's courage. Yeah, this little boy. Also, there's one other thing. The woman I think is supposed to be a sister. Yeah, is it just me, or she has a striking resemblance to Chi, I think it's her name is, Smoker's subordinate, and she also kind of looks like that girl that Zoro knew as basically as a child. I don't know why they don't bring it up. And I mean, yeah, same color hair, same style face, and yet Zoro doesn't say anything about it at all. Which I'm kind of like, that is a bit bizarre, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, the weakest thing about the first one is the villain. The villain is terrible. In the case of the second one, the villain is kind of weak, but at least he's interesting. Yeah. And at least the only thing about him is he gets beaten up so easily by the entire crew, which at this point consists of about 7 people. Yep. Excuse me. Yep. And with the third special, this one I found to be very interesting, basically because the Straw Hats help with a play, which is probably by far the only time they've ever done this. Now I know in Fairy Tail they did this a couple times, where they had the crew member, they had the characters help out with a play. This one they had pretty much someone to basically do parts of the play, like Nami playing the princess, and apparently this actor who was a former Marine lieutenant who basically went out to capture pirates who killed his family, and then after he captured them, he retired. Okay, fine. He basically had a thing against this guy called Governor. Apparently that's this guy's name, Governor. I'm like, seriously? Your name is Governor. Why in the world would your name be Governor? And he's a corrupt Marine commander. He's one of several I've seen through the whole series. He's not the worst one I've seen, but he's the most flamboyant of them. And another thing, he doesn't even wear the uniform. He just wears the coat, which I don't understand why. And also, there's a minor plot hole in here where Luffy just pops up completely out of nowhere in this guy's, I don't know, his ready room, whatever, and his chair is basically like high up, basically takes it almost goes to the ceiling. It's kind of like it's his own personal throne room, and I'm kind of like, okay, I guess this guy's ambitious, but also, how the heck did Luffy get on the ship? I mean, last time I checked, a guy like Luffy is not that stealthy. That's probably, yeah, at this point anyways, this is probably the first time I've seen an actual plot hole in these specials. But at least this one actually was interesting. And the fact this guy had a past with this retiring actor. And he frames him for a crime that actually he committed originally. And instead of his crew listening to him, because they knew for a fact that they'd rather die, that they'd rather just basically abandon their post and listen to this coward. And of course, Luffy beats the crap out of him anyways. Yeah, he rather that they rather face a court martial than take orders from this guy, because this guy all he cares about is basically get advancement. He doesn't care about catching wanted criminals. He just wants to advance his own personal career, which is fine. But can I go along with it? No. He basically just a corrupt Marine. As far as I can tell, I think he's actually one of several that's seen throughout the whole entire franchise. The first one's Axe Handle Morgan, and he gets beat by Luffy. The only difference is that this guy is one of the more weaker corrupt Marines I've seen. Yes. But it was a good special nonetheless. Let's see. Some highlights, basically, you get a chance to see Luffy fight Randolph. That's this guy's name. Pretty interesting fight. Chopper does treat his wounds, though he does kind of change the ending of his play, even though he was supposed to say something else. He actually changed the ending, which is a bit surprising because he knew that not all pirates are bad. Yeah, also, yeah, I forgot to mention this for the second one, but they mentioned that they're just pirates looking for adventures. They're not out to do normal things pirates and associate with, basically terrorize and do all those crazy things, do mass killings. As a matter of fact, Luffy barely kills anybody the whole franchise, and yet in all the specials I've seen so far, he has never killed anybody. He's beat up a bunch of people really badly, like beating these guys to a pulp is him flying. But yeah, and of course, third one basically he beats him. Of course, I think the guy does get arrested, but it's never stated anyways. And of course, they never get a chance to see the finish his play. But they get away nonetheless. And all the Straw Hats get a chance to do something. I'm a little surprised they actually had 2 small boats while they're going merry, which I'm like, when did they get those? Because they never used small boats at all in the whole franchise. Not that I can think of, no. But yeah, that's it for this third special. The 5th special episode of Nami. That's really the name of this thing. It's actually one of 3 with the name episode of. It's actually one of 4. This one's called Episode Nami, Tears of a Navigator and the Bonds of Friends. This one is just an abridged version of the Arlong Park arc. They just basically what originally in the anime was 14 episodes, they basically shrunk this down to basically about 2 hours. What normally would be about 4.5 hours of a story, they shrunk it down by half. Yeah. And from what I can tell, it does follow the story pretty well. There is some alterations, like there is one moment where Luffy is about to be floating in the ocean. Now, unlike in the actual original story in the manga, he does get on the ocean when he's trapped in the concrete. Sanji, excuse me, I keep thinking though, why couldn't he do this before in the original story? Just go up, just run up and smash the thing so Luffy doesn't. Maybe they just wanted. I get the reason why they changed that, because, well, it was kind of silly for that to happen in the first place, and and basically Luffy was out of the fight for at least for a couple episodes at most, basically where Nami's sister Nakacho and I think this guy's supposed to be the mayor, who also kind of looks like the police chief. I think he might be the police chief. They don't specifically state either in the manga or the anime or the special what the heck this guy's position is. It's stated he's the leader of the village, but what kind of leader looks like he dressed like a police chief? Who the heck knows? And I have heard he is the closest thing Nami and his sister have to a father because, well, their adoptive mother basically would try to seduce him several times. Yeah. And let's see. Pretty much a lot of the other fights basically are very similar. There's this really funny moment. I'm actually not happy the fact to cut this out. Basically, just Luffy just going for a walk, and he just happened to pass by like 4 Arlong pirates. One, of course, I think happened to be Hachi. He says, "What are you doing here?" I'm taking a walk." I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. But I thought that was so funny. It's kind of like for this special, they pretty much just use stock footage. They just kind of reused the footage they had for the Online Park arc and just basically cut some stuff here and there while making some new additions. Small ones here and there. But otherwise, though, it does pretty much fall. You know, and they also change some dialogue. Like Luffy says in the dub, he says, "Your You're always my friend. You'll always be my friend. In the sub, I saw a flashback of this. It says, they say, Nami, you're my friend. Um, in here, it's changed to, Nami, you're one of us. I don't get why they changed the dialogue. Also, they took out the. Now, this scene I was kind of happy they took out because it was kind of silly. The whole town passing out basically after partying for three straight days. Yeah, I thought that was kind of silly, but also instead of like showing the thing properly, they decided to have them use. They decided to have sort of a montage over, just kind of like fast forward through it, and the ending it pretty much is like from the same exact. It's like they pulled it from the same episode and just had the ending credits just roll over. And there's a brief moment when they show stuff in the post time skip of them going to Fishman Island. Maybe because Nami's remembering this. It's just a theory. I don't know. Then the course thing ends with the same way kind of the online park thing ends. With Bellamir's grave, with General's pinwheel and an orange and a paper. And also, I didn't really notice this basically from the first couple times I've seen this particular scene of Nami laying in bed basically getting her arm taken care of. But she's topless and we can kind of see her breast. Yeah. Though I'm kind of glad the fact they don't show her nipples. Because that would be kind of inappropriate. Especially since probably little kids probably watch this. But I kind of get why the specials love to get away with this because it's a special. And probably not a lot of people probably watching this one. So they probably got away with basically showing a topless Nami. Though they did kind of, they've done this before. But not to the point where they actually show her actual breast. Yeah. This is actually a first they've actually showed this that I've seen in the anime. But otherwise, though, that's really it. The abridged version of this one, this is actually one of three I've heard basically they do this for. There's also the last special they actually released, which is basically East Blue, which I'll watch that soon. And there's also, of course, that one's the abridged version of an entire saga. And there's also the Desert Princess, the Pirate Adventures in Alabasta. That one is an abridged version of the Alabasta arc, which I'll get to that film soon. And get to my feelings about the abridged. I don't get why they've done this 3 times so now where they just abridge an entire story just for a special. Now, I kind of like original stuff. Doing an abridged version, I know DBZ, I know the Dragon Ball did this several times to their films, but I don't get why One Piece did this for. It just honestly makes no sense to do an abridged version. I like original stuff, but could you at least do something original instead of just taking a story that you already done and just now indicate this one? Now, my guess is the reason why they just did just for this special, like, okay, we can't come with something new. Let's just take an arc we already did, do an abridged version of it, and release it as a special. My guess is they probably didn't have money in their budget to do another big special. This one had a little more CGI than usual. This one actually had CGI, show like the Airline Park building, where they show it in CGI, which I thought was a really cool effect. That's probably the only major thing that's the only really big major change they did visually wise. But the story does follow pretty much closely to the original source material. And I do praise it for that. But otherwise, that's really it for this particular special. Next time it will be special number 1, part 2, where, excuse me, I will cover the last 4 specials, basically specials 7, 9, 10, and 12. That will be discussed in part 2. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.